This tiny coin could make you a fortune. Most people have no idea that a simple Lincoln penny in their pocket could be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But which ones? In the next few minutes, I'll reveal the rarest Lincoln pennies hiding in plain sight and how just one of them could change your life forever. Coin 1. In the world of coins, every piece tells a story. But some coins, some hold whispers of an era long past, an age of transformation, of hope and hardship, of war on the horizon and a nation preparing for the unknown. The 1940 Lincoln Wheat Penny from the United States of America is one such coin. A small copper disc, barely larger than a thumbnail, yet heavy with history. This humble penny, minted during a time of transition, is more than just a piece of currency. It's a time capsule, and today, we're diving deep into its secrets. It was the year 1940. Across the Atlantic, Europe was engulfed in flames. World War II had erupted. Hitler's forces were marching through the continent, and fear spread like wildfire. In America, though not yet involved in the war, the effects were palpable. Factories churned, soldiers trained, and citizens braced for what felt inevitable. Amidst this tension, life continued. People shopped, traded, and exchanged goods, often with coins like the 1940 Lincoln Wheat Penny passing hand to hand. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent had already become a household item by 1940. Introduced in 1909 to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on regular U.S. coinage. Until then, liberty had reigned supreme on coins. But Lincoln was different. Revered, respected, and loved, he became the face of the 1-cent coin. And Brenner's portrait of the 16th president was not just a depiction, it was a tribute. His solemn expression, his stoic gaze, they told of a man who bore the weight of a divided nation and dared to heal it. The obverse of the 1940 Wheat Penny features that iconic profile of Lincoln, facing right. Above him, the words "In God We Trust" curve along the upper rim. To his left, the simple word "Liberty." And to the right, the date, 1940. Some would have a small mint mark below the date, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. If no mark was present, the coin came from Philadelphia, the oldest of the U.S. mints and the one that produced the highest number of these pennies in 1940. Flip the coin, and you're met with the reverse design, 2 wheat ears, one on each side, curving inward like protective arms. Between them, the proud words 1 cent, and below that, United States of America. At the top, the motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. A declaration of unity, of strength through diversity. This design remained until 1958, making the wheat penny a symbol of mid-century American resilience. Now let's talk numbers. How many of these pennies were minted? The 1940 Lincoln Wheat Penny saw a massive production, thanks to the demand for small coinage and an economy on the move. From the Philadelphia Mint alone, over 586 million pieces were struck. Denver added another 81 million, and San Francisco contributed about 112 million more. That's close to 780 million pennies for a single year, a staggering figure. But not all of them survived. Many were worn out, lost, melted, or tossed aside. The few that remained in pristine condition have become prized treasures for collectors. But what makes a 1940 penny valuable? After all, with hundreds of millions made, wouldn't that make them common? Yes and no. In circulated condition, a 1940 penny might fetch just a few cents, perhaps 10, maybe 20, depending on where. But condition is everything in numismatics. A 1940 wheat penny in mint state, what collectors call MS, can be worth significantly more, especially in grades like MS 65 or higher, where the coin appears nearly flawless to the naked eye. Take, for example, an auction that stunned coin enthusiasts. At the Heritage Auctions event in Chicago, a 1940 Lincoln Wheat Penny graded MS 67 Plus by PCGS Professional Coin Grading Service fetched an astonishing $11,400. Why? Because of its pristine condition, deep luster, and sharp strike. It was as if the coin had rolled directly off the press and into a velvet-lined box. No nicks, no scratches, just perfection in copper. Another standout was a 1940 Wheat Penny graded MS 67 red. It sold at Stack's Bowers Gallery's auction in Baltimore for $7,200. What made this one special wasn't just the grade, it was the boldness of its color. Collectors prize red cents, referring to the original red luster of newly minted copper coins. Over time, most pennies toned to brown. So finding a genuine red example from 1940 is a rare and beautiful thing. There are also errors, those accidental miracles of minting. Double dies, off-centers, repunchment marks. A 1940 D penny with a dramatic die crack across Lincoln's head once sold on eBay for $325 because of its dramatic, eye-catching error. Collectors love these anomalies, these one-of-a-kind quirks that make a common coin unique. Beyond the value, though, lies the appeal. Why do people treasure the 1940 wheat penny? For many, it's nostalgia. It reminds them of childhood, of finding pennies on the sidewalk, of hearing grandparents tell stories of buying candy for a cent. For others, it's history. This coin circulated during Roosevelt's presidency, during a time when America was on the brink of war, during a time of great change. And then there are the collectors, those patient souls who seek out the best examples, who examine coins under magnification, who cherish every detail. For them, the 1940 penny is a piece of the puzzle, part of a set, a challenge to complete. Whether it's filling a classic blue Whitman folder or building a registry set on PCGS, the hunt is half the joy. Some collectors specialize in one year. They'll collect every variety, every mint, every era of just 1940. Others collect every Lincoln Wheat cent from 1909 to 1958. And for them, the 1940 is a middle child, easier to find than the rare early teens, but still valuable enough to demand attention in top grade. The copper itself tells another story. Until 1982, U.S. pennies were made mostly of copper. The 1940 penny, in fact, is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It has a warm, rich hue, a color that no modern zinc-based penny can replicate. Hold one under the light, and you'll see a glint that seems to glow from within. It's a beauty born of metallurgy and age. Storage matters too. Collectors know that copper is sensitive, prone to spotting, to toning. That's why coins like the MS 67 red examples are so valuable. To survive over 80 years without losing that fiery brilliance is rare. These coins were likely preserved in original rolls or albums, kept away from moisture, handled only with gloves. For investors, rare high-grade pennies offer potential growth. As top examples get scooped into private collections, the supply dwindles. And when demand rises, especially during coin booms or market surges, prices can leap. Some experts believe that key date and condition rarity Lincoln cents are undervalued today, offering long-term returns for the patient buyer. In private collections, some of the most remarkable 1940 pennies lie unseen. Tucked in vaults, kept in bank boxes, cherished by collectors who rarely sell. But once in a while, a gem appears. And when it does, the market reacts. In 2019, Great Collections Auction House featured a 1940 Lincoln cent in MS 68 red, the highest grade known at the time. It was slabbed by PCGS, and it brought $13,200. The bidders were fierce. Two phone bidders went head-to-head for nearly 10 minutes. And when the hammer fell, the crowd applauded. A tiny penny, 1 cent, had become a five-figure treasure. Even celebrities and billionaires have been known to dabble in coin collecting. Some seek gold, others silver. But a few appreciate the humble copper cent, the kind that reminds them of where they came from. Coins like the 1940 penny are democratic. They were once in every pocket, every purse, every child's piggy bank. And today, they're in albums, displays, and velvet cases. They're studied, protected, and admired. Not because they're rare in number, but because they're rich in story, rich in history, rich in meaning. The next time you come across a 1940 Lincoln Wheat penny, pause. Look closely. Think about the hands it may have passed through, the war it preceded, the lives it touched. From factory workers to farmers, from soldiers to school children, it journeyed through time, surviving decades, to end up here, in your hand. That's not just a coin. That's a relic, a survivor, a witness to history. And maybe, just maybe, it's worth more than you think. Coin 2. In the heart of post-war America, the year 1959 was a beacon of transformation. Dwight D. Eisenhower was steering the nation through a time of immense technological progress, suburban expansion, and Cold War tensions. It was a period when every detail of American life, no matter how small, held a story, and nestled within a common pocket change was a small copper coin that would become part of numismatic history. The 1959 Lincoln cent. This wasn't just any penny. It marked the beginning of a new era in American coinage, replacing the time-honored wheat ears reverse that had been a staple of the Lincoln cent since 1909. 50 years after Abraham Lincoln's portrait first adorned the cent to celebrate his 100th birthday, the U.S. Mint introduced a new reverse design to commemorate another milestone: the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and the 50th anniversary of the coin itself. The new design featured the Lincoln Memorial, a building that had stood in solemn tribute in Washington, D.C. since its dedication in 1922, now immortalized in miniature on the back of every cent minted from 1959 onward. The decision to update the reverse of the Lincoln penny was met with both admiration and nostalgia. Americans had grown used to the wheat ears, two stalks framing the words 1 cent, and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum nestled above. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the wheat reverse had become a beloved image, evoking the ideals of prosperity and unity. But as the nation stepped confidently into a new decade, the U.S. Mint felt it was time for a visual change that would better reflect Lincoln's enduring legacy. To achieve this, the Mint turned to Frank Gasparo, a skilled engraver and medalist whose interpretation of the Lincoln Memorial would become a staple of American pocket change for the next 50 years. Gasparo's design was bold and architectural. Within the stately lines of the memorial's columns, one could see, even with the aid of a magnifying glass, the seated figure of Lincoln himself, just as he appears in the real structure. This detail made the coin uniquely symbolic. For the first time in U.S. coinage history, the same figure appeared on both sides of the coin. Lincoln gazed solemnly from the obverse while his monument stood proud on the reverse, linking the man and the memorial forever. The obverse remained unchanged, a testament to Brenner's original portrait of Lincoln, with its dignified expression. Turned rightward. Surrounding the bust were the words, "In God we trust," above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1959 to the right. For pennies struck in Denver, the tiny D mint mark appeared just below the date, indicating the coin's origin in the Denver Mint. Those minted in Philadelphia bore no mint mark, as was tradition at the time. 1959 saw tens of millions of these new cents pour from the mint presses. 609,715,000 in Philadelphia and 1,279,760,000 in Denver, to be exact. With such high mintage, one might assume the coin was destined for obscurity, another common cent buried in coffee cans, forgotten drawers, and dusty piggy banks. Yet, despite the sheer volume, some 1959 Lincoln pennies have commanded eye-watering prices at auction, thanks to errors, exceptional condition, and enduring collector interest. In particular, the rarest and most controversial example of a 1959 Lincoln penny does not bear the new memorial reverse at all. In a stunning twist that has puzzled collectors for decades, a 1959 penny surfaced with the wheat ears reverse, an error so unexpected that many initially dismissed it as a forgery. Only one such coin has ever been authenticated by the prestigious Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and it's the stuff of numismatic legend. This mysterious hybrid features the 1959 date on the obverse but retains the older wheat ears reverse, a combination not authorized by the U.S. Mint and likely the result of a rogue mint worker or a freak error. When this unusual cent first came to light, it ignited a firestorm of controversy. Some accused it of being a counterfeit, while others insisted it was a deliberate creation by a mint insider. However, After thorough analysis by PCGS, the coin was certified genuine, forever etching its place in the annals of American coin collecting. In January 2019, this singular 1959 D-Wheat reverse penny was offered by Heritage Auctions in Orlando, Florida, during the prestigious fun Florida United Numismatists Convention. The coin sold for a staggering $50,000, an astonishing figure for a penny, and a clear signal that collectors were more than willing to pay a premium for a coin steeped in mystery and controversy. But even ordinary 1959 Lincoln cents can hold surprising value under the right conditions. Those preserved in pristine red mint state, graded MS-67 or higher, have fetched hundreds, sometimes thousands, of dollars at auction. In 2004, a 1959 D. Lincoln cent graded MS-67 red by PCGS sold for $1,380 at a Heritage Auctions event, while another example, also graded MS-67 red, brought in $2,300 in 2006. These seemingly common coins, when kept untouched, brilliant, and free of blemishes, can transform from humble cents into valuable collector's pieces. Collectors prize these early memorial cents not only for their historical significance, but also for the unique window they offer into mid-century American life. A 1959 penny is more than just metal. It's a symbol of change, a tribute to Lincoln, and a reflection of American ideals. When you hold one, you hold a moment frozen in copper, a link to an era that shaped the world we live in today. The appeal goes beyond rarity or condition. There's a story etched into every cent's face, the story of a nation remembering its past while boldly stepping into the future. It's a coin that marked both an ending and a beginning, a final farewell to the wheat ears and a grand welcome to the memorial. For collectors, investors, and historians, the 1959 Lincoln penny is a portal, small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, yet rich with meaning and value far beyond 1 cent. As we dive deeper into the nuances of the 1959 penny's varieties, errors, and grading specifics in the upcoming sections, remember this. Even the most common-looking coin can hold a hidden fortune. Whether it's an ultra-rare transitional error or a flawless mint state example, the potential for surprise is endless. So keep your eyes sharp, your magnifiers ready, and your curiosity burning, because the next great discovery might be hiding in your pocket change. Coin 3. In the bustling post-war era of the early 1960s, the United States found itself in the throes of transformation. The country was booming with economic optimism, space exploration dreams were at their peak, and a strong sense of American pride filled the air. But beneath the grandeur of global progress and political rivalry, in the humblest corners of pockets and piggy banks, a small copper coin quietly told its own story, a story of legacy, transition, and unexpected value. That coin was none other than the 1964 Lincoln penny. To many, it may look like any other small, copper-colored coin, light in the hand, dull in color, and easily overlooked. But if you take a moment, hold it up to the light, and peer into its details, you'll see something far more fascinating, a story etched into metal, a bridge between generations, and for collectors, sometimes even a hidden fortune. The 1964 Lincoln penny wasn't just another coin in circulation, it was a piece of American history passed from hand to hand, unnoticed yet invaluable to the trained eye. The journey of the Lincoln penny began long before 1964. It was born in 1909 to honor the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth, becoming the first American coin to feature a real person's portrait. Designed by Victor David Brenner, a sculptor with a passion for realism and fine detail, the obverse featured Lincoln's thoughtful profile. The reverse initially displayed 2 wheat stalks arching from either side of the words 1 cent, a now iconic design known to collectors as the wheat penny. But in 1959, marking the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the U.S. Mint decided to update the reverse with a new image, an elegant depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, linking the man to the monument built in his honor. By 1964, this design had become familiar. The front of the coin still bore Lincoln's determined gaze, the words, "In God We Trust," arching above him, Liberty positioned to his left, and the date, 1964, sitting on the right. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stood proud in the center, United States of America inscribed across the top, and 1 cent resting prominently below. Tiny, subtle, and easily missed. If you looked very closely at the center of the Lincoln Memorial, you could even see a minuscule rendering of the seated Lincoln statue, an extraordinary detail, especially considering the size of the coin. The 1964 penny was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins carried no mint mark, while those from Denver bore a small "D" under the date. Together, these 2 facilities struck an astonishing total of over 6.6 billion pennies that year, 3.8 billion from Philadelphia and 3.1 billion from Denver. It was one of the highest mintage years in the Lincoln penny's history, driven by both economic demand and the U.S. Mint's efforts to alleviate a national coin shortage. Yet despite the massive production, not all 1964 pennies were created equal. While the vast majority were churned out in haste to meet circulation needs, a few rarities slipped through the cracks, off-metal strikes, double dies, proof errors, and coins with unusually high-quality planchets that today command staggering prices at auction. And in the case of the elusive 1964 SMS penny, coins that appear to have been struck with special care and a satin-like finish, possibly part of a mysterious experimental run, some have fetched over $5,000 at major auctions. One such coin, with remarkably sharp details and a flawless surface, sold for $7,050 in 2019 at a Heritage Auctions event in Long Beach, California, leaving even seasoned collectors astonished. What made this coin so valuable wasn't just its condition, it was its mystery. These SMS Special Mint Set coins are extremely rare for 1964, as no official SMS sets were issued that year. Only a handful exist, and their origin remains debated among numismatists. Were they trial strikes, prototypes, or the result of a behind-the-scenes initiative to refine minting techniques? The truth remains uncertain, and that uncertainty fuels both intrigue and value. Even standard 1964 pennies in pristine condition, graded MS-67 red by PCGS or NGC, can sell for hundreds of dollars due to their scarcity at that level. Most pennies from this year were handled roughly, stored poorly, or spent heavily, making well-preserved examples uncommon. For a coin to earn a red designation, it must retain nearly all of its original coppery luster, unmarred by oxidation or handling. This vibrant red shine, reminiscent of freshly minted coins, can push auction values well above expectations. Collectors hunt for more than just beauty. Certain varieties of the 1964 Lincoln penny include double dies, minor misalignments in the die engraving process that cause a doubling effect on letters or numbers. A 1964 penny with strong doubling on Liberty or the date can ignite bidding wars, especially if authenticated by a reputable grading service. Error coins like these are valued not just for their oddities, but for their uniqueness. They are physical evidence of human and machine imperfection, captured forever in copper, but beyond rarity and error. The 1964 penny also holds emotional appeal. For many Americans, this coin represents the pocket change of their youth. It brings back memories of corner store purchases, gumball machines, and school vending lines. It's a nostalgic link to the past, a relic of a time before debit cards and digital wallets, when every cent mattered and was carried with care. In one famous estate sale in 2020, a pristine roll of uncirculated 1964 D pennies, preserved untouched in a sealed U.S. Mint paper wrapper, sold for over $500. Not because each penny was individually rare, but because the lot represented something greater, a perfectly preserved moment from 1964, frozen in time. Collectors saw more than coins. They saw history. This is the magic of numismatics. Coins like the 1964 Lincoln penny may seem small and insignificant, but in the hands of the right person, they become storytelling tools, historical artifacts, and investments rolled into one. They carry the marks of mints, the passage of time, and sometimes even the fingerprints of forgotten hands. And for those lucky enough to find one in change, a coin jar, or a family collection, especially in mint condition or with a rare error, there may be a hidden treasure worth far more than a single cent. In fact, if you've ever found a bright, red-toned 1964 penny with a strange shine, a double date, or a mysterious smoothness unlike other coins, it may be worth getting it graded. Because you never know, what seems like a common penny could be worth hundreds or even thousands. Under the right light. So the next time you come across a 1964 Lincoln penny, take a second look. Consider its journey through time, from the mint presses of Philadelphia or Denver to the palm of your hand. Think of the billions made, the rare few that stand out, and the whispers of American history that echo from its copper surface. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just a curious observer, the story of the 1964 penny proves that even the smallest things can carry the weight of a nation's past and sometimes the sparkle of fortune. Coin 4. In the heart of America's numismatic history, there lies a copper-colored coin that millions of Americans have handled, some without a second thought, others with wide-eyed fascination. The 1965 Lincoln penny, seemingly ordinary at first glance, is one of the most compelling stories in the world of coin collecting. From the dimly lit rooms of professional coin shows to the buzzing atmosphere of global auctions, this little cent has captured attention far beyond its face value. To understand its allure, we must journey back to a pivotal moment in American monetary history. The year was 1965, a time of transition, conflict, and innovation. The United States was entrenched in the Vietnam War, civil rights protests were intensifying across the country, and the government was undergoing a major change in its monetary policy. The nation's economy was under pressure, and silver, a critical metal used in coinage, was becoming too valuable to be wasted in everyday currency. As a result, the U.S. Mint began shifting its strategy. While the silver coins were being reevaluated, so too were the humble copper cents. Though the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation since 1909, honoring the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the 1965 penny came at a unique moment. It was a time when collectors had begun hoarding coins for their silver content, leaving other denominations in short supply. The U.S. Mint, under pressure to meet demand, removed mint marks from all coins in 1965, a practice that would continue through 1967. This meant that for 3 whole years, no coin, regardless of whether it was struck in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, carried a mint mark. It was an attempt to discourage collecting and hoarding by making coins indistinguishable from one another. For the Lincoln penny, this decision marked a subtle yet historic turning point. The 1965 version would be struck without a mint mark, forever rendering it an anonymous coin to the casual observer. But to seasoned collectors, that absence was a story in itself, one that symbolized a period of economic turbulence and numismatic transformation. The coin's design remained largely unchanged since 1959, when the reverse side had been redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial, replacing the original wheat ears. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse gave the coin a fresh, modern look, while continuing the reverent tone originally set by Victor David Brenner's obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The 1965 cent retained that same timeless look, a thoughtful, forward-facing Lincoln, his solemn features etched forever into American coinage. But not all 1965 Lincoln pennies were created equal. In the chaos of rapidly increased production, a variety of minting inconsistencies began to emerge. Some coins were struck on older planchets. Others received unusually strong impressions due to press adjustments. And a handful, just a tiny fraction, were struck on planchets that had been intended for earlier years, or even on foreign coin blanks by mistake. These rare varieties have become the holy grail for collectors. Take, for example, a 1965 Lincoln penny struck on a silver dime planchet. These error coins are exceedingly rare, and typically weigh about 2.5 grams instead of the standard 3.11 grams for a copper penny. In 2019, one such coin was sold at a Heritage Auctions event in Orlando, Florida, for an astonishing $8,812.50. That's a massive return on a coin that, at face value, is worth just 1 cent. It goes to show how valuable a coin can become when historical anomalies and collector demand converge. Even among normal 1965 cents, condition is everything. A coin pulled straight from circulation might be worth a few cents to a collector looking to complete a date set. But a pristine, uncirculated example, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, can command impressive premiums. In one notable auction held by Stacksbauer's Galleries, a 1965 Lincoln Penny graded MS-67 red by PCGS fetched $456. This was no ordinary coin. It had a shimmering red hue, unmarred by the browning and oxidation that copper cents often suffer over the decades. It was the perfect example of what collectors dream of finding, an untouched artifact from the past. Yet even beyond the high-grade specimens and the rare error coins, the 1965 Lincoln Penny tells a broader story. It's a coin that reminds us of a pivotal chapter in American economic history. The removal of mint marks, the transition away from precious metals, the efforts to curb hoarding. These were not just policies. They were measures rooted in a nation grappling with change, trying to find stability in a world spinning rapidly at the grassroots level. These changes were barely noticed. A child in 1965 might have used a Lincoln penny to buy a piece of candy or flip it in a game of chance. A clerk might have swept dozens of them into a cash drawer without a thought. But today, that same coin might be locked behind glass, scrutinized under magnification, and treasured by a collector who understands its deeper meaning. And what of those collectors? The community of Lincoln cent enthusiasts is one of the most passionate in all of numismatics. Online forums, coin clubs, YouTube channels, and social media groups buzz with excitement every time a new error is discovered or a rare auction price is set. They pore over coins with loupes and microscopes, searching for doubled dies, repunched mint marks, even on coins that technically don't have mint marks. The 1965 Lincoln Penny has inspired decades of discovery. It's been featured in educational seminars hosted by the American Numismatic Association and displayed in coin exhibits across the country. Its reputation continues to grow, particularly as more people realize the hidden gems that might be hiding in old piggy banks or inherited coin jars. One of the most thrilling stories surfaced in 2021 when a family in Ohio discovered a 1965 Lincoln penny struck on a silver dime planchette while sorting through their late grandfather's coin collection. Unbeknownst to them, they had been holding on to a treasure for over 50 years. After professional authentication and grading, the coin went to auction and sold for $9,200. The proceeds helped pay for the education of a grandchild, a fitting legacy for a coin bearing the image of a president who valued education and equality. But it's not just the rare errors that have value. Even regular business strike 1965 Lincoln pennies in exceptional condition are becoming harder to find as the years pass. The mint struck over 1.5 billion of them in Philadelphia alone, but few were preserved in mint state. The copper composition makes them particularly susceptible to corrosion and color change. Thus, full red specimens graded MS-66 or higher are often snapped up quickly by collectors and investors. The market for small denomination coins continues to grow, especially with younger collectors entering the field. The 1965 Lincoln penny is experiencing a quiet resurgence. It's affordable, historically significant, and surprisingly rich with variety. It's the perfect coin for both beginners and veterans, a common cent that has proven itself to be anything but ordinary. In the next segment of our story, We'll delve deeper into the minting process of 1965 and how wartime pressures and economic concerns influenced the production of Lincoln cents during this crucial time. We'll also explore more auction results, speak with expert numismatists, and uncover the secrets that might be hiding in plain sight in a coin you may already have. Coin 5. It was a year that changed everything for American cents, a numismatic twist no one expected, but everyone eventually desired. In 2009, while the rest of the world was reeling from economic crisis, the U.S. Mint gave collectors a reason to chase copper again. A simple 1-cent coin, the Lincoln penny, suddenly became a canvas of American history and an object of intense desire. The 2009 Lincoln bicentennial cent wasn't just another coin. It was a celebration, a tribute, a quiet revolution in copper-plated zinc. And for collectors today, it's a silent gold mine. But why 2009? Why that year? Why did this particular penny become one of the most talked about, hunted, and highly valued modern coins to ever roll out of the U.S. Mint? To answer that, we journey back more than 2 centuries to the cold, damp birth of a log cabin in Kentucky, where a future president would take his first breath. Abraham Lincoln, the rail splitter, the lawyer, the orator, the emancipator. In 2009, the United States marked the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. And the Mint, in its wisdom, decided to honor the 16th president not with a one-time token, not with a gold-proof medallion for elite collectors only, but with something far more democratic, the common penny. But this wasn't the penny you'd find jingling in a kid's lunchbox or hiding under your car seat. This was the beginning of a 4-part tribute, each design telling a different chapter in Lincoln's life. Each cent, a story, a legend, a collectible in the making. The first design was stark, nostalgic, and instantly memorable. Called Birth and Early Childhood in Kentucky, it depicted a humble log cabin, the kind that whispered of 19th century hardship and promise. Designed by Richard Masters and sculpted by Jim Licoretz, this reverse told the tale of Lincoln's rural beginnings with stoic charm. It screamed authenticity, but more importantly, it screamed value to collectors. As the months passed, the next designs rolled out, each minted with care and historical precision. Formative Years in Indiana, released next, showed young Lincoln reading while taking a break from rail splitting. It was a quiet moment immortalized in copper, a teenage boy with a future as towering as the trees he chopped. This design, created by Charles Vickers, hit a chord with Americans who still believed in hard work and big dreams. Then came Professional Life in Illinois, a smooth, sharply defined image of Lincoln standing before the state capitol as a statesman. For many, this was the most elegant of the series. And finally, Presidency in Washington, D.C., which portrayed the U.S. Capitol dome still under construction, symbolizing a nation in the middle of transformation, just as Lincoln himself had shaped it. 4 coins. For chapters. 1 man. One explosive year in the world of numismatics. But the true twist in the story came not from the public releases, but from the rarities, the secrets, and the errors that slipped through the cracks. 2009 wasn't just about design. It was about composition. While the regular circulating coins were struck on copper-plated zinc, special collector editions were struck on 95% copper planchets, echoing the original 1909 Lincoln cents. The San Francisco Mint took the reins for the proof versions, while the Philadelphia and Denver Mints handled the business strikes. Yet the quality of the strike, the luster, and the occasional minting mistake gave rise to a storm of speculation and massive value jumps. Some 2009 Lincoln cents came with die cracks, doubling errors, or even off-center strikes. These became the darlings of auctions, the sleeper hits tucked in pocket change and mint rolls. Take, for example, the 2009 D. Lincoln cent Formative Years with a double die reverse. A sharp specimen sold for a whopping $646 at a heritage auction in Dallas, Texas. Not bad for a coin that cost 1 cent to mint. Even more astonishing was a pristine 2009 Lincoln bicentennial set in deep cameo proof, all 4 designs graded PR 70 by PCGS, which sold for $1,495 in California in 2021. Collectors weren't just buying copper, they were buying history, narrative, and rarity wrapped into one dot, and that's just scratching the surface. There's something magnetic about the 2009 Lincoln Penny series. Maybe it's the way it bridges past and present, or the sheer number of variations: Philadelphia issues, Denver issues, San Francisco proofs, error coins, satin finishes from the mint sets. There's a version for every type of collector, from the curious beginner to the aggressive investor. Some even call the 2009 penny the modern treasure map, and for good reason. Unopened mint rolls of 2009 Lincoln cents, especially from Denver and Philadelphia, have fetched upwards of $50 to $100 per roll on eBay and other collector platforms. That's a potential 10,000% return on face value, if you're lucky enough to hold the right batch. Of course, no conversation about the 2009 penny is complete without mentioning the Holy Grail: pristine MS-67 and MS-68 grades, especially those with full red RD luster. A 2009 as Professional Life Scent graded PR70 Deep Cameo. One of those went for $1,800 at Stacksbowers. A 2009 Formative Years MS-67 Red from Philadelphia that sold for $646 in a flash auction. What drives these prices? Not just rarity, but passion, nostalgia, the emotional pull of Abraham Lincoln's legacy, the celebration of a man who went from a dirt floor cabin to the highest office in the land, and the fact that every American could touch a piece of that story for a single penny. Even today, coin shows echo with the same questions. Got any '09 errors? Is that the copper version? Any DDRs? The hunger is real. Collectors swarm tables in search of the log cabin, the young laborer, the statesman, the president. Each design carries a personality, a mood, a chance, and make no mistake, this isn't just a collector's game anymore. Investors are catching on. Copper is rising. Historical relevance is growing. And the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents are now being called the modern sleeper set of U.S. coinage. So next time you spot a penny on the ground, don't dismiss it, especially if it's dated 2009. That could be the birth and early childhood design hiding in plain sight. It could be your formative years jackpot. It could be a well-worn cent that once fetched hundreds at a live auction in Chicago. Or better yet, it could be the one no one has discovered yet, the next error, the next MS-69 unicorn, the one some lucky collector will stumble across in a coin jar, a roll, or a forgotten mint set. And when they do, you can bet it won't stay in their pocket long. Because in the world of coin collecting, the 2009 Lincoln penny isn't just a cent, it's a story. It's a treasure. And for those who know where to look, it might just be a ticket to numismatic glory.